Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today I'm going to show you how I mix some dye using plain old-fashioned tap water. It's been a long time since I've done some liquid dye, and I was at the sink mixing it, and I thought, you know what? I haven't made one of these tutorials in a while, so why don't I just record it? So let's get started. I'm making a half batch. I'm only going to be making one shirt, and I don't want to have a lot of leftover dye to have to throw away. So instead of using the 1 cup recipe that is the standard norm from Dharma Trading Company, like I said, I'm just making a small batch, half cup. Make sure you rinse everything off really well in between dye colors. Now, for the sake of recording this, I'm going to be using a measuring cup. The little OXO silicone cup here has marks on it, but since I'm shooting from up above, it's hard for me to see. So you could just go ahead and use the lines that are on the cup. So I did a half a cup of water, and now with the Raven Black, it has 2 asterisks. So since I'm only doing a half cup, I'm going to do 4 teaspoons of dye. Just level teaspoons. They don't need to be heaping teaspoons. Make sure you tighten your lid on your jars right away after using the dye. You don't want to just lay the lid on and say, oh, I will, come in tighten it up later, because you might forget that you didn't tighten it up, then go to grab it to walk away with it, and woof, dye goes all over your kitchen, and then you have a terrible mess to have to clean up. I have done that before, so just take my advice. Be methodical in your steps. Put your dye in the water, tighten on the lid, then start mixing. Or you don't want to accidentally bump it and knock it on the floor, whatever. So with the Raven Black, I have found that it needs extra mixing. Because you're adding so much extra dye powder to the ratio of water, if you don't mix it really well, you do run the risk of it clogging your bottles. And for those of you that have been following my channel from day one, you know that when I work with the Raven Black, it is one of those colors that seems to give me the hardest time with making a mess, clogging my tips, and really just frustrating the heck out of me. If you look down at the bottom of the sink, you can really see the splits in the Raven Black. There's yellow, there's red. Raven Black does have a tendency to want to lean towards the red tones. It's a beautiful color, and it is my favorite black to work with. A quick little reminder, I have a playlist of how-tos and tie-dye tools, so I recommend that you check that out. I have various mixing videos and supply videos and just overall how-to videos. So if this particular tutorial doesn't answer your questions, go check out the playlist and see if there's something there that might help you out. Again, I'm using half a cup of water, and make sure you dry off your measuring spoon really well before you dip it into your dye jar. You do not want to introduce moisture into your dye jar. It's recommended that you keep your dye dry and in a cool place for longevity. Now this color is silver lining, and it does not have any asterisks, so you mix it normal. So since I'm using a half a cup of water, I'm only going to use 1 teaspoon of dye. Keeping in mind, you guys, I'm making a small batch of dye. The immersion blender and the silicone measuring cup you can find on Amazon, and I do have links for them down below in the description box, along with everything else that I use for tie-dye, so make sure that you check it out. And these are the 8-ounce size bottles that I get from Dharma Trading Company, and I also do have a link for them down below. It just makes it easy for you guys to find what you need. Again, I'm using half a cup of water, and now this next color is Fire Red, and Fire Red has 1 asterisk, so it's going to require 2 teaspoons of dye. Looks like it's time to order some more Fire Red. Fire Red is one of my favorite liquid dye colors. It's really rich and it's bright, and it's just a really nice shade of red. So if you're brand new to tie dyeing and you're wondering what colors to get, always want to start out with the primary colors: fuchsia red, lemon yellow, and turquoise, and then build off of that, because if you get the 3 primary colors, then you can make the secondary colors, you can make rainbows, you can do all kinds of things. And then what I like to do is I like to just go down Dharma's list and I pick 1 color from each category. So if you have lemon yellow, golden yellow is really nice, and if you have fuchsia red, fire red is really nice, and in the blues you've got turquoise. Well, maybe get Bluebird, it's a really beautiful color, and just so on, just like that. And then always make sure you get Raven Black. Now for this color, I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. So I have some Bluebird in the container that is still fine, but I'm just going to beef it up a little bit. So it measured out to being 1/4 cup. So I'm only going to add 1/4 cup of water, and then I'm just going to add 1 teaspoon of dye. Now you can get away with doing this 1 time, maybe 2 times, but you can't beef up your liquid over and over and over again, because eventually it's just going to become like a really strange texture and the color just won't be quite right. So this is the first time of me beefing it up, and so it will be fine. When working with older dye, I want to make sure that the texture inside the bottle isn't all like gummy and gooey. If it was, I wouldn't beef it up. And I always like to rinse out the nozzle just to make sure that it's not clogged. One more little tip. You probably should wear gloves when doing this. It will stain your hands. So when it comes to labeling my bottles, I just use painter's tape, masking tape, whatever. You could also just write directly on your bottle if you're going to dedicate the bottle only to that color. But by using the tape, you can use the bottles over and over and over again for different colors. And you could also even write the date on it, that way you know when you mixed it, which is probably a good idea for me considering how very little I do liquid dye. So the next time I do it, I'm not saying, oh my gosh, I have no idea when I mixed this. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up, and click the bell and set it to all. That way you get notified of future uploads. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing!